hear ye. Come and join us and come see what we've got to offer here. You do know, Russ, that is who the first real estate agents, what they actually adopted.
What, the town crier?
Yeah, well, kind of, because Hear Ye was all about making sure everybody knew what was really important. And in fact, the center of town was where people who sold things always went to make sure.
Did. That's why all the markets are in the center of town.
Exactly. Even when you go to a market nowadays, like a fresh and open market, they're almost always in a downtown or a center square area because that's where the most people gathered back in the Middle Ages. But today we're going to talk about what is important to know about the agent that you want to sell your home. And yes, we're not going to deny that we think you should pick us if you're in Racine. However, or Kenosha, or the surrounding areas. However, if you are not in our area and you are thinking about moving to this area, you still might need to sell your home where you are if you're moving to Racine, and you need to know what to look for there in a good agent. Yeah. So stick around. We will be right back and let you know. And yes, I'm probably going to do more talking because on our team, that's my primary role. But stick around and we'll be right back to talk to you guys about what you should look for when you want to find a person to sell your home.
Yeah. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. So if you enjoy our content, don't forget, click like, subscribe, and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss any future content.
And drop a comment below because we're going to tell you today about what a home seller is supposed to look like. So an agent who you need to sell your home. This is not about an agent who needs to help you buy a home. That's Russ's field. Mm-hmm. But today we're going to talk about what should you look for in an agent that you need to sell your home. When you sell your home. And in the industry, they are referred to generally as a listing agent because they are listing your home on the MLS. And that's the kind of the industry term that is used for the person that you hire to sell your home.
They're listing it on the market.
Exactly. So they're listing it on the market. So we're going to start, first of all, with some of the important things like market knowledge, like local market knowledge. So section number 1 here, we're going to talk about how important is that, having local market knowledge.
Definitely important because you're knowing how to price the house through your market knowledge.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So they should be familiar with your market. Now, does that mean they need to know your subdivision specifically? No, it doesn't mean they need to know your subdivision, but they should know if your subdivision is similar to this subdivision. And I would say, especially when it comes to condos, there are different condos in our area here in Racine where the actual the associations are similar, but they're not the same as other condo associations.
No.
So you need to know which condo associations are similar to others and which ones are different. So for example, in Racine area, we have condo associations that include amenities like a workout room and a pool and things of those natures. Mm-hmm. And then we have condo associations that don't have those amenities at all.
Correct.
The pricing between those two condo associations is the two types like that are very different.
Yeah.
We also have some associations that have detached garages and some that are all attached garages. Again, the value of having an attached garage versus a detached, big difference in pricing.
Big difference. Yeah.
Big difference in pricing. So those are the kind of things that the agent should know which ones are alike.
Yeah, which ones allow animals as
Exactly. So there's a lot of things that people need to know, not just about condos, but about single family homes, which neighborhoods are similar, and knowing maybe what the build times is and things of that nature. So local market knowledge is specific, is a really important thing. But you should ask them about their experience in selling. Like, how many homes have they sold? And pretty much if somebody says, well, I've sold 100 plus, I actually don't keep track anymore, that's good enough. Like if they've said 100 plus, you're good. No problem. In fact, quite frankly, if they've said, I've sold 50 plus, you're probably good because that's really good. Now, if they only do 2 a year though, 50 plus, it's okay, they're 100 years old. No, they're not doing just 2 a year. But But if they
I
have,
often wonder sometimes with some of the agents.
oh, I know.
Yeah.
But if an agent has been in business for 25 years and they've only sold 50 houses, that would be a little bit of a red flag, so to speak.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some red flags right at the end here as well. So they should know that. They should absolutely do a comparative market analysis. But to be honest, doing a CMA, as we call it, or a comparative market analysis, that's kind of like the baseline. If you have an agent that shows up without a CMA, just don't even sit down and spend any time or cut that interview short, because if they don't show up and have a CMA, then you're wasting your time because they haven't done any analysis that they can show you. They need to be able to justify what they're saying with documentation.
There are times when you need to look through the house to be able to
But I still have it in my bag.
break it down. Yeah.
I still have it with me. And if they say, and if you want to ask somebody when they walk in, did you bring a market analysis? If they tell you no, and you didn't talk to them ahead of time and that was okay. Like there are times when I will say, hey, I'm just going to pop over, look at your house, and then I will schedule a time for me to come back with the market analysis. That's different. That's what we call a two-step. But if the idea is you're just doing a one-step where you're walking in, you're seeing their home and you're sitting down and discussing it.
You would ask them questions over the phone before you went.
Absolutely.
Like, have you done any modifications? Is it still a 3-bedroom house, or have you made an extension and added a 4th?
Or did you combine 2 bedrooms and make it into 2? Because
Yeah.
when I'm doing my research, that's really important to know. So what I look at is I look at the tax records, I ask you a couple of basic questions, and then when I'm there, I can narrow things down a bit more. But if they didn't show, if you're only doing one interview with them and they didn't show up with a comparative market analysis, then just say, you know what, it's been great, but I'm actually running short on time and I need to cut this short. I'll call you to reschedule, and kick them out because they're not going to be the person you hire, or they shouldn't be, at least, if you really want the best price for your house. The other thing that a lot of people don't interview, this is something, so CMAs, that's kind of basic. Everybody should ask for that. But a question that people don't ask is about the current education of the agent. Now, if an agent says, well, I just did CE last year, or I just did my continuing education and I just re-upped my license last year. In order to be an agent, you have to do CE. That's not education. It is a mandatory requirement. That is the bare minimum. You can't keep your license without it. So if that's their answer.
Every 2 years, you have to do that.
Yeah. Well, in Wisconsin, every 2 years. In some markets, every 3 years. It depends on what market you're in, how often. But every 2 to 3 years, agents have to do that. That right there, if that's their answer to what their current education is or what they're educating themselves on, that right there is a disqualifier. Let them out. Let them out the door as well. Because, or just sit there politely and let them finish, but then say, thanks for your time and mark them off your list. Because current education, what you should be hearing them say is things like, yes, I just did this great webinar. I just did this great book. I just learned this new thing. A really good agent is going to be constantly learning. The one thing that I was taught at the very beginning of real estate is that the only thing constant in real estate is change. That things change constantly. Documents change constantly. Strategies change constantly, marketing changes constantly, and keeping on top of all those changes is really what's important. And that's what an agent should be educating themselves on. I'm constantly reading a book of some type to help my marketing go to the next level for my clients, or I'm learning a new technique to advertise, or I'm learning. So it's always about learning new things to bring it to the next level. That's what a great agent does. So let's talk about those marketing strategies, since I was just talking about that. So Russ, when you know about marketing strategies, what do you think of?
I think of advertising, postcards, videos.
So you know what the strangest thing to me was when I got into this business, or actually not when I got into this business, but shortly after I got into this business. When I first got in, I was told, do not ever do professional photos. They cost money and you can take your photos yourself because you've got a good camera. Because I had a DSLR. I still have DSLRs. I have good cameras and I can take the photos myself, and you don't need a professional photographer, and they're really expensive. And then about 2 years in, I got a listing that was a higher level listing. And I went, this listing, I got to do professional photos for this listing. So I hired a photographer and I asked him what his price was. And I was shocked at how cheap it was. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Now, the pricing has gone up because I've been in real estate now for 10 plus years, 11, 12. What are we on now? Something like that. Combined, we've got 20 years. I know we have over 20 years of real estate experience between us. And so I've been doing this a long time, but I couldn't believe, and I actually feel like I should go back to my first original customers and apologize to them for not hiring a professional photographer, because it doesn't cost that much. On the grand scheme of things, the amount of money that an agent makes, they absolutely can afford to do professional photography. And nowadays, it should be HDR in almost every circumstance.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
The only reason you wouldn't want to do HDR would be on a distressed house, because HDR makes flaws pop out and stand out. So if you want to attract people to come look at it, because people will oftentimes see a flaw when they're there and they're like, well, that's a flaw that doesn't bother me. But if they see it in a photo, they'll just skip the house entirely.
Yeah, they won't even come and see
it. They won't even come see it. But on 95% of the houses out there, it should be pro photos, someone who's a professional who knows what they're doing, and it should be high definition or HDR. That's a high def resolution. Type of photography, because it makes everything pop and it makes it stand out. And that's kind of the gold standard. What you don't need is somebody to put in a fake sunset behind your house. Because that doesn't actually, people actually see that as fake. They know it's fake. That whole glow rosy thing, it actually turns people off. But when it comes to marketing, there's a lot of things they should do. So number one, pro photographers, absolutely. Number two, they should understand and know staging. Now, whether they stage your house themselves or whether they bring in a professional, that you might have to pay for if it's a professional being brought in, because the amount of money that real estate agents make doesn't usually cover for a professional.
Doesn't cover for the cost.
Correct.
And because plus they don't get paid unless you sell the house.
Right.
And if they're forking out thousands for
so professional staging does cost anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 with where it kind of starts, at least in the Southeast Wisconsin area. So most agents do not pay for a professional, but most agents should have studied staging and understand how to take your furniture and move things around and fluff things up, what to remove and what they should understand staging, and they should know how to do that for your house, no matter what price point you're at. Because if your house is only $300,000, which is the average in the Southeast Wisconsin area, then you should still get that. You should still get a staging consultation and still be able to figure things out. So staging, photos, and they should have a strategy for your pricing. They should be able to answer why. On almost anything you ask them why they do that. And if they can't give you an answer, they probably haven't thought through it.
Yeah.
They've just said, oh, that's because everybody does it, because that's the gold standard. No, that's not why I do everything. I do certain things specifically because I know how it will enhance the price. I know how it will up the price. I know how it will showcase the home.
We know how to get people through the door.
Absolutely.
To see your house.
Absolutely. I can't make people write offers, but my job is to get people in your door for you. So, Steph, having said that, the other thing that's really important, and a lot of agents don't do this anymore.
What, social media?
No, agents do social media, although most of them do it really poorly. They only put up solds and listeds, and that's not the way to do social media. The way to do social media is to talk about the houses. Get on things like YouTube and Facebook and be real and be live on camera with people. But a lot of agents don't do that. But the one thing that people just don't do anymore that they absolutely should do is what you're really good at.
I love doing them.
Yeah. Russ does almost all of our open houses.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, but you'll have to hire us or at least have us come over for a consultation if you want to know why.
No, I love doing open houses. It gives you a chance to meet people, and I'm always enthusiastic about it, and I think that rubs off on them anyway.
I think it does as well. But open houses, since August 17th of 2024, when the new guidelines for realtors came in, open houses became the most important thing. It's the only way, it's the main way, shall we say, because agents don't always have the time. Listing agents can show houses if it's in the contract with their seller, but not all agents have that. But open houses is the one guaranteed way that you don't have to sign a single piece of paper with an agent and you can still see the house for yourself without hiring a buyer's agent. It's also a great way to find a buyer's agent, but we'll talk about that at a different time. Or to find a listing agent, you kind of sneakily interview them. Yeah. We'll talk about that later too. But open houses, If your agent that you're looking to hire does not do open houses or doesn't have somebody else in their office at least do them for them, then don't hire them. Open houses are a gold mine for sellers.
They're very important. You'll get some agents that will turn around and say, yeah, but you never sell a house at an open house.
Yeah. Well,
you
not
keep
us.
Thinking that because
We'll keep selling houses.
we
Every house we sold,
at least.
every house we sold in 2024 and 2025 so far has been sold because of an open house.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. And I don't mean like just one or two. Oh no, every single house that I sold in 2024 was because of an open house. It wasn't always me or Russ that had the buyer. It wasn't always us. It was oftentimes another agent, but that agent's client came to our open house, saw the house, loved the house, went back to their agent and put in an offer.
Yep.
So every single house we've sold, open houses, they are a brilliant strategy. And
Yeah.
if agent that doesn't want to do them, yeah, don't hire them. Hire somebody who does. So social media, of course, they need to know social media. They need to be on social media. I am not a social media person for myself personally. I would never be on Facebook or Instagram or any of those platforms or anything, any of them, if it was just for me. I would be there under some pseudonym and you'd never know my name. But because I own businesses, because I do business, I'm on social media a lot. And that's why people see us all over the place. Because, in fact, we've had people see us in other places and go, do I know you? I think I know you. I've met you before. And we know that it's because of our social media presence. We know that's because they've seen us on
video or
on YouTube here or on Facebook or LinkedIn or somewhere else like that. So they have to have a good social media presence. And then one of the other things that came up when we were doing research was platform use. Make sure that they leverage Zillow, Realtor, and the MLS. Okay, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, first of all, I had somebody once ask me, I just want to make sure in my appointment, I want to make sure my house is going to be on the MLS, right? I went, yeah, every realtor puts their house, like we actually are required to put our houses on the MLS. Mm-hmm. It's a requirement. We can't not put them on the MLS. So it was like, yeah, we absolutely are going to be on the MLS. And I said, yes, we are. And I said, but I'll just let you know, every agent is going to be on the MLS. And because every agent is on the MLS, unless you ask for it not to be on Zillow or not to be on Realtor.com or not to be on Redfin or any of those other sites, it will be there because all of those sites feed from the MLS.
Yeah.
So as soon as the house goes onto the MLS, within 15 to 30 minutes, it's on every single public website out there. So don't fear about that. That's actually not the key thing. There's no way to leverage those platforms unless you're paying Zillow and Realtor to send you buyers. And they don't normally send you buyers from your listings. That's what's bizarre. So it does not do you as a seller any good to worry about whether you're on Zillow or Realtor, because you will be. You'll be there.
Yeah.
What's important to know is your agent having it? You don't want to find your agent on Zillow or Realtor, because the only agents who are on Zillow and Realtor are the agents who have to buy clients, basically. It costs almost $2,000 a month to be on Zillow in the Racine area.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money for just being on Zillow and getting leads from Zillow. You might get a couple of leads a month because that's all they promise is for $2,000, they promise 2 to 3 leads. Do you know that? You didn't even know that because you didn't do the interview a year ago. I did an interview just as a curiosity, never been on either of those platforms. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of money. I don't need to spend that much. I can do so much more marketing with $2,000 than Zillow can ever do. So yeah, but your house, if you list with me, is on Zillow. It's on Realtor. It's on all those sites. So buyers will still see it there. But don't choose Zillow for your listing agent. You need to interview the agents themselves. Because quite frankly, the best agents out there don't need to pay Zillow to keep in business because we already have good business.
Yeah.
Which is why I've never paid Zillow. It's why I've never, I think I did some advertising on Realtor.com once to just kind of see what it was like. It wasn't any good. And it wasn't about doing any good for my clients. So I didn't do it. I stopped doing it. And I do other advertising for your home instead. So
let's talk about communication.
Oh yeah, I suffer from not being able to communicate, don't I?
Yeah. You talk way too little.
I know. I talk so little. People never know what I'm thinking. It's so hard for people to judge me.
So, availability. Ask about their response times. So,
Yeah.
Are they available all day? Do they do this job full time, or are they part time where, they do another job and may not be available at the times you are?
Or at the times buyers call them to request showings.
Yeah.
Because if a buyer calls them, you want them to be able to pick up their phone and answer any questions that are possible.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about some of the red flags later on, and that's a little part of one. But yeah. But are they available? Their communication style. Now, when we first did the research on this, it said the answer we got back from our research machine that we use as like a starting point was that it said, make sure that the realtor is okay with you texting or this or that. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. No. You tell the agent, or you ask the agent, you can ask the agent what their preferred style of communication is. And if it's not yours, then that's fine. You don't have to hire them. But I would say more likely ask them if there's any kind of style that they don't use. And say to them, I prefer texts, I prefer emails, I prefer XYZ, whatever it is. And they should flex to you, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's other things.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, WhatsApp is a little bit hard because a lot of agents do not use, because WhatsApp requires you to use your personal number for WhatsApp, and it puts it out there for the world to see. And the problem is most agents, or at least most agents who have been in business a long time, do not use the phone number that is associated with their phone, their personal number, for business. Well, at least not the smart agents.
No.
Smart agents don't use their personal number for their business number. And some of the business numbers aren't allowed to be on WhatsApp.
No.
So we've struggled with that. We can't be on WhatsApp because we don't have...
No, we use other numbers for our business.
Yep.
Because
that are
that's
housed by
great.
other people.
If I'm
It still
flying
rings-
to the UK, for instance,
It still
to
rings
see
my
family, I can actually transfer all those calls to Kimberly if she's
Yep.
still in the States.
Yep.
So she can pick up all my clients.
Yep. Or vice
details.
versa. If I'm going
Yeah.
to visit my family without you, although it's very rare, but if I'm somewhere without you, where you need to pick up my calls, you can. So that's what makes that really, really important. So they should be responsive, though. The thing is, they should be very responsive. So here's our rule. If you send me an email, I will reply to it within 24 hours because I check my emails every day, but I only check them once, maybe twice a day, unless I'm expecting something. Email's not the fastest way to send it. Number two, text messages, I can usually respond to within a half an hour. Depends on if I'm in a meeting. If I'm in a meeting with another client, not going to be as fast because if I'm in a meeting with you, my attention's on you, not on my phone. It's a respect thing we feel.
Yeah. Definitely.
But phone calls, I'm always going to pick them up. Or if I'm in a meeting, I don't pick them up, I will call you back as soon as I'm out of that meeting. So I'm very responsive.
We always say that to our clients that, while I'm with you, I am not going to pick up a phone call
From someone else.
Yeah, unless it's Kimberly or if it's me.
Yeah.
Because the only reason that is if I'm showing someone a house.
I know he's showing houses, and if I'm calling him, it's because there's information he needs about the house that he's showing or one of the houses.
One of them may have cancelled, for instance. They may have got an accepted offer, and so then we don't need to show it.
Or they've just denied the showing. So I'm the only person he will pick up when he's with you, and the same for me. But of course, if we're in a listing appointment, we're both there because you're getting to see both of us. So regular updates. They should update you regularly on what's happening with the showings and things like that. Now, the bad side of this is that I would love to give my clients feedback. But in order for me to give them feedback, I have to rely on the other agents who have showed the property to give me feedback. And if they don't give me feedback, then I have nothing feedback wise. I do try to reach out to them if they haven't given me
You
immediate.
always send them a feedback form.
They get a feedback form, and after 2 days, if they haven't responded to the feedback form that's been sent twice, I will try to call them. But some agents, they don't care about giving feedback. They won't even do it verbally.
Yeah.
So so that can be problematic. But if I have feedback, then my clients have it usually the same day. So as soon as I get feedback, clients get it the same day. But what else? Let's see here. Do they collect and relay feedback? Now, if it's a buyer that we've showed it to, then of course we're going to give you feedback right away, because that makes a difference in pricing and selling strategies and things of that nature. So, and it was right about this point that we realized this needed to be a two-parter. So join us next week for part 2 of what to look for in a seller's agent. But if you have found any value in this content today, do us a favor.
Click like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn that notification bell on so you don't miss any future content.
If you've had a great experience with an agent, I want to hear about that. Tell me about the best agent. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. But bye for now.
Bye. That's not going to make the bloopers. Welcome back, everyone. As Kimberly dismantles the desk.
Oh my God. All right, take 1,598. All right, go ahead, try it again.
Yeah. Here we go. I remember back when I was young and clever and no one knew my name.